Hey there, fans, and welcome to an RVA match analysis. This is from this most recent week, the 31st of August, and we have got a fun little treat for you. Thought I would share this with everyone. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it play right into this first match. As it's going, I'll just kind of talk over it, explain. This was the third match of the night. I was 2-0 at this point. I'm playing Avalanche Operatives, as you'll see here in a moment, as I just discarded Barrett throughout the or Elf, whatever it is. And my first round, I went against, I want to say it was like a Water Wind Crystal deck. And then my second round was kind of this really neat multicolor Category 4 deck using the new starter Cecil to just basically dole a bunch of stuff out of the way. However, I'm playing Avalanche, and in particular, I'm playing very aggressive Avalanche. And I will have a deck list for this later that you can see in a very future follow-up video. But so my whole plan for this evening was just be Avalanche, just go aggressive, try to end these matches as quick as possible. So worked really well in the first match, especially Water Wind Crystals. They wanted to set up, and they were just dead on turn 3 or 4. Same with the Cecil guy. It was a shame because he had a really cool deck, and I would have loved to have seen more of it, but I had to run him over in 3-4 turns, so didn't matter. So in this deck, going against Samurais, my opponent goes first. I believe it's Kurt I'm playing against, and he just did the old turn 1 Tenzin. And I was lucky enough that this is the third match in a row, I saw Elf in my starting hand, which I'm happy to see, plus with Kolka. Lets me set up my favorite play. So I put down Elf, I go search either Barrett or Tifa, and then I put down the Kolka, and then I search whichever one I didn't search with Elf. I don't think the order really matters. I haven't come across a situation where the order matters unless they can somehow make you discard on their turn, but it's turn 1. I just don't see that happening. He puts down 2 Samurai backups after he attacks, hits an Amaterasu into damage, gets a Gosetsu. I'm happy to see his own Amaterasu get sent to the bottom there. Plus, since he has 2 in hand, I feel really good about this. I'm completely ready to go off on my turn here. So, as you'll see, I love having 1 fire, 1 earth ready early because this is what you can do. You can tap both, play Tifa exactly on curve. You don't have to just hit your 1 earth back up and then pitch a fire from hand. I go get out a spare Cloud because I was fortunate enough to draw into the big boss Cloud. So we'll pitch Cloud and Terra and Brynhildr. Here comes Big Cloud. Again, Barrett is already in the break zone from last turn. So we're going to blast Tenzin for 10,000. Bring back Barrett. In theory, I guess you could have given haste. I actually did do that, I think, in my first round. I brought out Barrett. I said, haste to the board, and then just hit him 3 times. But I want to get this Tenzin off the field. I don't want him to keep getting value off of it. So already, I feel absolutely great about the position I'm in. Barrett can be a difficult forward for Samurais to deal with, even if they get the Cyan Cleaves, because unless they can get it all the way up by himself, it's difficult for Cyan to do that. He gets a Samurai backup. I don't really care about that standard unit one, though. I'm not very intimidated by that card. 1, it costs 3, and then he has to pay another 2 for the nuke. Like, is that a standard unit effect or what? Technically, Tifa can't attack here, so I do hit. I think I do always attack with Tifa if I'm able to open this play, because, again, I'm playing aggressive. I want to hit you as fast as I can, assuming I cannot find another Avalanche Operative. If I hit you 1 now, I'm set up to lethal you in 2 more turns, whereas obviously more operatives makes it all the better. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken here, he's just going to play a backup or 2 backups and pass. Yeah, he plays the Gosetsu. He searches out the Heian. I'm not really scared of the Heian. Barrett is, again, such a great counter to the Heian because Barrett can just step in front of him, and since Barrett doesn't take damage less than his power, it doesn't even matter if you Cyan Cleave. Barrett's just not going to receive any of that. And, I don't think there's any Kuchaspel here, so... And now Avalanche is, very simple in the sense that it has a very straightforward game plan. Do the opening play I just did, and then go to town. So I believe Kurt will pass here at this point. I remember he wasn't feeling great about that because he didn't want to just get popped for 3 damage. And again, if I draw an Avalanche Operative, potentially even more. As a matter of fact, I think I threw out Biggs, so I guarantee have Biggs in the break zone if I'm not mistaken. I think I pull him back. But at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, what else? I don't know what he has in hand at this point, but if you don't have anything great, what's kind of the point of putting him out? If you're not going to put out a forward that will actually stop someone, yep, there we go. I just did the Biggs. Now here, I do have the option to attack 4 times. This will be our first little moment of decision analysis. Oh, I think I might take the party attack here, though, to refill my hand, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see what I do here, but I'm pretty sure I do a party with Biggs and Tifa. Yep, do a party attack. They become unbreakable. I get to draw. Another thing I do really like about this, and John Schreiner picked up on this later too, is I don't know what summons he's running in there, but let's say he's running a Brynhildr. If I party with the Tifa and the Biggs, it makes the Tifa unbreakable till the end of the turn, so he can't just get a Brynhildr off me on a burst and get me. Now again, I could have technically attacked individually to put him to 5, but I wasn't going to finish him anyway. Like, right? That wasn't the difference between winning the game versus not winning the game. So in my opinion, it was better to get the extra card draw, make sure Tifa isn't going to die to a random EX burst. And I feel pretty solid here too. I think I'm holding maybe a Mist Dragon in hand. I don't know. I think I had a Mist Dragon, which can be decent against Samurais depending on what they're trying to recur. But I feel pretty good here. Even if he slaps something down, I'll go ahead and jump this ahead. He does bring down this Samurai. He goes ahead and blows up Biggs, which I don't care about at all because Barrett can just pull Biggs back on the next turn. So Biggs is certainly not going to be gone for a long time. And then he is going to bring down Hien here. Yep, there's Hien. So Hien, he surprisingly attacks with Hien, hits a Marlene. I almost have no targets for it. My only target is the Earth Cloud, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And I know. He was like, oh, what if you hit a second Marlene? But there's only one Marlene in this deck, so I knew I wasn't going to hit a second one. So before the turn even ends, I swap out Earth Cloud, get back Biggs. There we go. Now I'm ready to just go again. I think I even get out Jesse here, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, I just pitched Tifa from hand. Here's Jesse. He's only got one in hand, so there's nothing I can fear. So again, here's another point where I can either just attack individually. I have more than enough people, but I also did the math, and I can still do a party attack and still have enough people to run in. Yeah, and you can see the comments there. Lightworks is like, well, pack it up, boys. We're just coming right back. And I think party attacking is the right choice here. Once again, I am protecting Tifa in case I happen to hit a Brynhildr off the top. I have enough attackers anyway after this to attack individually, and I get to draw a card with Biggs and search out a cloud with Jesse, so I'm refilling my hand which is just silly that Avalanche can get their hand back like that, which I think is the right choice. So just in case, I can't imagine what kind of burst would just totally stop this, but just in case, now I've got a bigger hand to deal with. He does hit a Terra, but there's just really nothing to get back. I think he gets the 4-cost Bahamut. But yeah, I know I have Mist Dragon in my hand too, so it's like even if he casts that, I'll just cancel it. But again, he doesn't have the CP to cast it. He takes it back to his hand. Here comes Cloud by himself. Yep, goes to 6, and so now I just attack in with Barrett. I could have attacked with Jesse as well. She would trade up because of the Tifa buff. And whoever he blocks with, I get to finish it. And there we go. Yeah, they're saying in the comments, John was saying, like, well, surely Travis has got this wrapped up, right? And Muhammad there said, to be fair, Rudros has lost in better positions. And Lightwork says, Travis for sure not eating an EX again. He's got this. Yeah, I was, again, doing everything within my power, protecting the Tifa. I still can't imagine what kind of a burst could get me there. Even a Blaze would only potentially get the Tifa. He would have needed to burst like 3 big summons in a row, but obviously it didn't happen. So just ran him over. Lickety split. There goes Kurt. So we're going to jump ahead. That puts me into a tiebreaker match against Sergio Bravo, 4-0. Yeah, we were both 3-0 at that point. So now I got to go to the tiebreaker round. And I was like, oh, I'm so close, but I got to do a next one. So here's where John joined. Sergio is playing this Category 14 Fire Lightning deck. And he's just, I mean, I thought I was going to be the aggro player person, right? He wins the die roll. He gets to go first. Now, to be fair, he was saying, he didn't see any backups. And, he wanted to play his backups, so he didn't have a choice. So what he did was he went turn 1, and this was before it got caught on camera. Turn 1 played Urianger. He actually revealed Nail off the Urianger, and he just went ahead and slammed Nail down right away as well. So now he's got these 2 big forwards. Nail also hit 3 forwards, so he was able to pull back 2 cards, so Nail totally worked out for him. And I don't appreciate having to deal with this kind of early aggression, because it's like, hey, I'm trying to be the aggro. And this is the only match I didn't open up Elf in hand. so I can't do my Elf and Kolka to have the Tifa set up perfectly for next turn. So I play Kolka. I have to go get Tifa. I believe I already have Barret in my hand, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm knowing, all right, well, I'm going to take 2 points of damage, but, you know, there wasn't much else I could do at this turn. I briefly did consider using the Titan there to hit the nail, because the nail scares me just a little bit in the sense that, you know, a little pre-warning for this match, he basically doesn't ever play backups during this match. He just doesn't see them, and by the time he does see them, he's too committed to going aggro that he's like, there's no worth it. But I'm worried that, if he gets down a backup, and there goes the second Titan, so there's all my Titans anyway. I was like, well, there goes that plan. If he were to get a backup, he can get rid of that backup to protect himself from Titan or from Cloud, which is my other concern. So I am a little paranoid about this nail, because I'm thinking, well, shoot, I don't know how much time I'm going to have to deal with this, but again, I want to go for my play, and I think that's the right move. So I don't have Elf to tap here, so as you can see, I dole Kolka for the Earth CP. I throw out Amaterasu, which doesn't feel great. Here's Tifa. Tifa's going to go search the Cloud. I'm ready and awaiting, and I believe I search out, so I get the 6 CP Cloud here. However, unbeknownst to Sergio, and this will be important, I actually already had that Cloud in hand. I drew it that turn. I drew it at the start of this turn. So I thought, well, in the past, I will go get like one of the off-color Clouds just to throw away, right? Because, however, I was worried about an Amaterasu here. I see he's got 4 in hand. He's playing fire. If this Cloud gets Amaterasu'd, I need to have a follow-up Cloud. So I made sure to search this one out, keeping the other one in hand, and sure enough, there it is. Amaterasu! Cloud disappears. We're both on 2 in hand. I have a forward. I've got a backup, but I just got to pass it. And I have the second Cloud. So now I'm just praying, well, hope I can get this second Cloud off. Now, he feels really good, too, because and I'm sure he was thinking about this, and Lord knows I was thinking about this. He can safely swing in with his Urianger. I cannot block this card with Tifa, because if Tifa dies, they'll trade, but Urianger's way gotten his value. You have to have an Avalanche Operative forward to get Cloud's effect. So I can't just play that second Cloud without the Tifa, so I'm just praying, well, I hope he doesn't get rid of Tifa, and, I can't block with it, and hopefully I get a chance to play this Cloud next turn. And, there were a few people in the chat questioning, like, did he give up too much hand advantage, cards in hand for that Amaterasu? But you stopped the Cloud. The Cloud was going to bring back the Barret. I think you always have to do that. I don't think you ever not do that. Someone mentioned that I got jinxed again. I do hit Terra on EX Burst. This is quite helpful. It's not even to cast the Amaterasu, but just the more cards I have in hand, the better. It just gives me more options to pitch for the second Cloud. And 2, I might be remembering this incorrectly. There's a Mist Dragon. I might not have actually had spare Fire CP for it, so part of me was like, well, I hope I draw Fire CP, so Amaterasu did help there, but I may be misremembering that. Don't 100% remember what was in my hand. Anyway, so I'm going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. So he passes after that. He's still got 4 in hand. I see, well, this is just do or die, right? So I pitch the Fire Cloud. I'm going to pitch one more thing, or 2 more things, obviously. I'll pitch my own Amaterasu, pitch Tyro. Here comes Cloud. And at this point, I've just got my fingers crossed. It's like, well, if he's got it, I just lose here. Luckily for me, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have backups to protect Nail. Cloud says, Nail, send him packing. Here comes Barret. Time for a little return the favor. I feel good about Cloud and Barret being on defense, so I'm happy to just attack with Tifa. Again, Barret is just a very difficult forward to deal with, period. I haven't seen any of my other operatives at this point, so I unfortunately can't just tap the Kolka to, I would have loved to have run Biggs out there. I'm wait. This is match you'll see. I'm kind of waiting for Biggs, and as you can see, one got hit into damage. It's the first point, so I'm just waiting to get the Biggs. Still, I feel solid. I've got 1 backup to play whenever I get my next Avalanche, and I've still got 1 in hand. I've got the main combo out there. I got rid of his biggest forward. Yeah, he's got 6 in hand, but he has no backup economy, so everything he's doing, he's gotta pay for it the right way, right? Kind of jump forward a bit, because I know there's some thinking here. So he plays Xenos. He pitches 3 cards, drops Xenos, and I haven't seen this card in so long, so I had to realize, wait, what does this card do? And I see, it can give all 14 characters. So when it enters, he reveals 5 cards, and he takes 2 14 forwards, I believe, and throws everything else in the break zone. I think it's forwards. Oh, we missed it actually. So let me see if I can go back a little bit. Show what he reveals. There we go. So actually, what he reveals, he only gets one card off of this, which probably ended up being really big for economy. Yeah. So as you can see, he got Y'shtola, but every other card he was not a 14 card, so he didn't get anything off of that. Nonetheless, it's a big body. It can trade with Barrett. I don't want that. And clearly, this is the type of deck that, you know, if he gets Hien out with Xenos and whatever other 14 character, he can just do this turn 0 to 8 damage because Xenos is going to give him all haste. Hien's going to reactivate, make them all do it again. He did pitch the Xenos here, which some people, or the Hien here, which some people point out. But at the same time, Hien, I understand why he did it, because he feels like, well, what's Hien going to do, you know, until the Xenos can attack. And I think, if this is the turn I think it is, this ends up being pretty big for me, because I believe either I just pass here or I draw a wedge. Let's see what happens. Yep, okay, so I did. I put out wedge, and then I actually just pass. The thing is, I don't want... Who do I attack with? Yes, technically Barrett can get over him because of the Tifa bump, but I need Barrett on defense. I'm still... You know, I know the kind of haste this guy has, and I'm already on 4 damage, so I'm very, very cautious about attacking here. I need an attack to really get me an advantage. And so what I'm hoping is like, well, if I show this wedge... If he attacks with the Z, he knows now if I attack with Xenos, I'm going to counter kill with the wedge. Wedge is just going to break Xenos on the spot. Now, on reflection, I didn't even think about this at the time, but looking at this, it could have been the right play to actually not play wedge, to just hold it in hand, because what's going to happen here is neither of us are actually going to attack here for a moment. So I'll go back to his turn, because he's worried. He knows, well, if I attack, wedge just counter kills me. I don't want that. So perhaps it would have been the quote-unquote right play to just reserve wedge and then hit him with a surprise. Haha, I got you. However, I didn't want the backup CP to go to waste. I didn't have anything else in hand. And then also, again, part of me is a little worried about if he drops an Y'shtola and he shrinks Barrett out of the way, which is actually, I think, the turn he goes for here. My worry was I need as many protectors as I can. Yep, here comes Y'shtola. He got the 3rd Scion out. So what he did was play Alice, searched out Alphino, and then he just pitched Alphino and Louisoix to play Y'shtola. Y'shtola is now big enough to shrink the Barrett. So this is exactly what I was worried about. Now, surprisingly, he still doesn't attack with Xenos here, so clearly he's very worried about the counter swing, which is kind of... I wonder if he should have. I was very much expecting him. He would have put me to 6, I think, easily, because Xenos would have given everyone haste. However... The other thing is, too, Cloud is, thank goodness for Cloud is big enough to block any of the other characters. So he probably knows that. He's probably not ready for the Xenos swing. Maybe he's waiting for the next Tien. But he ultimately decides not to swing. And I'll just skip forward a little bit and get it back to me, because there's just some thinking time here. So what I do here on this turn is I end up playing Tyro. I had in my hand, I think, a Vigali as well. Yeah, I pitched I had 2 Vigali, and so part of me was like, well, do I do the 2 what do I do, one of the Vigali? Because he's technically cheaper, but again, I only have 1 backup, so I'm still pitching 2 cards from hand. Whereas with Tyro, I can also pitch 2 cards from hand and get the Tyro down. And I thought, 1, Tyro is now a source of fire CP. I might need that later. 2, the damage action ability may come in handy, and spoiler alert, it's going to. Here's another part where perhaps I could have done something different. What I ended up searching out was Tifa, because what I'm thinking is he's going to come at me. He's going to come at me with all these bodies. My plan now is let him put me to damage 6, let Tifa die, and then replay Tifa, because Tifa on damage 6 says, search out 6 CP Cloud, play it to the field immediately. That is a win condition. That can bring you back. However, in the middle of the match... I then began to reflect, because he passes again here. I don't think he attacks again. And because of that, I started reflecting. Yeah, he just passed that turn here. So I started reflecting, going, oh my goodness, like, what if he doesn't attack? What I should have done was got Barrett, because Barrett can always pull Tifa back from the break zone as well. So I did start to question that. I'm still not 100% sure what the right... I mean, I know what the quote-unquote right play was based on what's going to happen here in a moment. But... you could make a very good argument. I should have gotten Barrett. Just get Barrett out naturally, because Barrett can always bring the Tifa back. So I don't have a great hand, but I have Brynhildr, and so I feel pretty good. I'll just pitch the Tifa, the other Tifa, hit the, Urianger. One, it takes one of his bodies off the field, which is huge when you're playing this aggressive like he is, off with no backups. Every body I can take out of the equation could be the difference between win and loss. He gives the Xenos haste and first strike, but again, without Xenos being dull, I have no intention of attacking anyway. Brynhildr also draws me a card, which just helps me dig a little deeper, gets me one more in the deck. And I think I might play Elf here. Yeah, so what I do is I play Elf. Let me back this up a little bit. Yep, so I dull 2. I play Elf. I discard... Might be Amaterasu, even. And I discard that extra Kolka I had. I go search out Barret. Now, at this point, I've got my third backup. I've got an Avalanche Operative on the back, so I'm ready. Okay, next turn, I can put out Barret. I can keep up the Tyro. I'm going to be good to go. I was a little scared. Every turn I took here, I was always a little nervous because, again, I don't know what kind of haste he can pull out. I am very well aware of Y'shtola's special, Pulse of Creation. However, I also know if he does that, he kills his own Xenos. In which case, yeah, he wipes my board as well, but he's only left with 2 attackers. So unless he can get out another attacker who's a Scion who can attack immediately and then use Pulse of Creation. But the other thing is, too, Pulse of Creation requires Y'shtola to dull herself. So again, he's reducing another attacker by that. But I'm still very well aware that that could be a thing. I believe he puts out Oracle of Light here. I think this is the turn. Yeah, so he puts out Oracle of Light, which is a big deal just for the power bump alone. Luckily, he doesn't have anything huge in his break zone here to recur off. I think he just has Alphino and Urianger. But still, so now they're all 9Ks. So again, now I'm instantly doing the math. I'm like, okay, can I live through this? The thing is, too, Xenos will give Oracle of Light haste. So he has 4 attackers. Now I can take 2 damage, and I've got 3 blockers. So I know I'm not going to die. So my game plan is the same. All right, let him put me to 6 damage. And then, we're going to try to do the Tifa thing next turn. So damage 5, he hits Amaterasu. Next, he comes in with Alisaie. Again, I let this go to damage 5, or damage 6. And this ends up being huge for me, as you will see. Once I take the damage. Alright, I can't wait anymore. We're just going to bump it ahead by... There it is, Brynhildr. So I hit a Brynhildr on damage 6. Perfect. However, I actually think for a moment, okay, do I want to hit the Oracle of Light? Benefit is, it's a forward off the field, shrinks the board. However, it then lets him replay a Scion for free. And while there's no, Thancred to be worried about, Alphino says, go get any card in your deck. Urianger says, revealed 2. Figuring he's probably going to get the Alphino, it's the bigger body. So part of me was like, well, do I do that? And I didn't actually even consider this at the time, but John had mentioned later that you could hit your own Tifa with this. I could have Brynhildr'd my own Tifa, I'd still draw a card off of it, and now Tifa is ready to play on damage 6. But again, I didn't really think about that. I was more like, I want to get forwards off of his field. The other option is I could have hit his Y'shtola, and then if he ran Y'shtola into me, not only would I kill it with the Cloud, then I'm going to draw a card off of it, but I figured if I didn't think he would do that. I was like, if I target Y'shtola, he's just going to stop attacking. He has no pressure to have to attack. So I do the Oracle. I was like, well, whatever he gets, he's only got 2 cards in hand. Chances are he's not going to be able to play it, so that's what I go with. He takes a little bit here. He does replay the Alphino, searching for his card, so I'll skip. Okay, so what I do on my turn, we get to my turn. And now I've got 5 in hand. I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm going to play out Barret. Because what he searches out with Alphino, by the way, this is important. He searches out Y'shtola. So he is saying, I have Pulse of Creation. I'm assuming he didn't have Lightning CP in his hand with the other card to play it. But so because of this, I pitch the other Cloud. I tap Elf and Kolka. I have to leave up Tyro, because I'm like, if he does Pulse of Creation here, the only thing that prevents a board wipe is Barret surviving. Now, I go ahead and throw Biggs out as well, because I need to attack. His Xenos is down. I need to pick something else off the board. And with Biggs out, I feel really good, because now I do a single party attack, Tifa and Biggs. Wedge is going to break the Xenos, and I get to draw a card. These 2 become unbreakable. It helps refill my hand up. I think I even have, Miss Dragon in hand, so part of me is like, well, if I don't need to Tyro, I can do that. Again, so he does hit the Ifrit off of that, which luckily can't kill Tifa or Biggs, but can kill Wedge. I'm at 6 damage, so that Ifrit does 8,000. It can kill the Cloud, too, and I can't respond to this. Thank God it can't kill Barret. Now, something I thought about after this was, again, I'm really trying to guess what he's doing. I'm saying, okay, he's going to use Pulse of Creation, and that's going to wipe my board. However, after that happened, part of me thought, maybe I shouldn't have attacked with Tifa. Maybe I should have done Wedge and Biggs, leave Tifa as a blocker, because that way, if he doesn't use Pulse of Creation, if he does attack into me, I want Tifa to die. I need Tifa to die so I can replay her. And I was like, well, shoot, if I dulled her, now she can't block. So part of me was, well, I'm really banking on him using Pulse of Creation. And I'm looking at the board state. So if he uses Pulse of Creation, it's going to cost him a card in hand, and he loses Y'shtola as an attacker. I'm just hoping, well, I hope he can't get out another Haster, because if he does, I'm donezo. Because I know Barret will survive Pulse of Creation thanks to Tyro. I'm going to pump Barret, he's going to be 11, but then he can run the twins into me, and I have to block, so I will lose the Barret. So that's why I was like, well, I just hope to goodness he cannot pull out another attacker. Go ahead and skip ahead just a little bit as he's deciding, yep, there it goes. Pulse of Creation wipes out Tifa, Biggs, and Wedge. I use Tyro to bump Barret to 11. Luckily, this prevents Y'shtola from attacking. Oh, he actually had to discard 2 cards. Sorry, yeah. So I figured he had to pitch 1 card for the double lightning and then the Y'shtola. So I technically could have not attacked with the twins here, but I know he wants to get Barret off the field, and I don't blame him. I block with Barret. I do hem and haw a little bit of like, oh, I don't know which one of these to pick. I look at his break zone. He has seen more Alphino, not Alice. I do make sure to do this too before Barret dies. So I pump Barret, I declare the block, and I immediately swap out, I think it was the 3rd Kolka in my hand for Tifa. I'm like, oh no, I'm keeping Tifa in hand. So I set myself up perfectly, and I could even hear in his voice, he was kind of like, yep. Like, I think he realized, oh yeah, he's just going to replay that Tifa, because I made sure Barret would get it beforehand. Barret's action ability is so good. Just use it as you can. I originally think, I'll get the Alice and actually, let me get the Alphino. I don't know if it really mattered there, given his hand state and everything else, and it was still going to depend on top deck. So, time to come back. I've got the Tifa in hand. You know what Tifa says. It actually throws him off here for a second, because I search out my final Cloud with Tifa, but it's not the 6 CP Cloud, because the last 6 CP Cloud I actually drew into my hand for this turn. But it doesn't matter. I've got what I need. We play Cloud for free. Cloud's going to play Barret back for free. I just blast this Y'shtola off the board. Yeah, you could argue that, well, part of me was a little worried, what if another one comes down? I would lose power, but I don't want another Pulse of Creation. And he does end up drawing into one, so this was absolutely the right call. We send Y'shtola packing. I would much rather deal with the power loss. Here comes Barret, and I believe I pitch one from hand to get an Avalanche member as well to start putting the pressure on. And, yep, so I pitched that Cloud I got, put out Biggs, or no, I'm doing the swap. I swap that Cloud for the Biggs, then I discard an Earth card. I was really proud of the way I played this too. I leave the Tyro up. Again, he's only going to be on 4 in hand, but you just never know. What if I hit a burst off of this that lets him draw something? What if? You don't know. So to me, it's the safer play to just get rid of a card in hand, leave the Tyro up. This Barret has to survive no matter what happens. Biggs gives me a card drawback, and this is pretty much wrapping up to the ending. He does draw another Y'shtola. He is going to pitch Louisoix there and Cyan for the Y'shtola. The only thing he can guarantee kill here is Tifa, but I'm sure he doesn't want me replaying another one, which, yeah, he absolutely shouldn't want me to replay another one. So he tries to hit Cloud. I just use Tyro to save the Cloud. He's got 1 in hand, so I feel safe about that. And now I'm ready to just go ham. There is a Wedge in the break zone. I either draw Wedge or I grab the Wedge in the break zone. There's Jesse in there too. I know I'm going to pull one of them back. So, yep, I think I drew a Wedge. There's him. I think I now show that here's Jesse. Pitch a card. Yep, swap her back. And I'm ready to roll. And believe it or not, without any attacks, that is the game. He says, GG. And I say, whoo. He's just like, yeah, all right, you got it. Like, there's, had we played out the sequence of attacks there, I don't think, let's see, because I would have had Jesse as well, so I would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who could attack. He's got 2 blockers, and I need to hit him 4 times, so that's exactly 6. So in theory, I could have just swung in 1 by 1. I probably wouldn't have, to be honest. I probably, since I would be too scared of a burst hitting me, so what I probably would have done is just party attacked. Again, Tifa Biggs, Tifa, just one person. I probably would have just party attacked one person, gotten the card draw, maybe then gone it, or just waited another turn. Yeah, that technically gives him, but he only had 1 in hand at that point. He was out of Y'shtolas. He wasn't going to draw a Pulse of Creation, so it's kind of like, what are you going to do? I've got the Tyro up. Barrett isn't dying anyway. So yeah, I finally won an RVA Returners Weekly. Ooh, number 163 Red Light District it just worked. So, John said that there's not as much to be gained from a victory as there is a loss. And in these past match analyses, I've been able to say, well, here's where something went wrong. But this time, give me your thoughts on that. How much can you gain from a victory? Did I make any wrong plays there? Are there such a thing as wrong plays, even when I won the game? Now, of course, I think to some degree there's stuff you can objectively do, right? Tapping Kolka is always superior to tapping Tyro, because on the offhand chance you need it, Tyro has an action ability that you can use, whereas Kolka, there's no reason to leave that card up. You could even argue for Elfei that, hey, dulling him it's better to dull something else because he technically has an action ability. So those kind of plays I get, but as far as the plays I made in the game, looking back on it, I feel very proud of it. I was so happy. I was so happy, guys. You know how long I've been trying to win this tournament and how close I've come on so many different occasions just to always fall short. Took a literal victory lap around the neighborhood with my dog and my girlfriend. Went to Dairy Queen, got a celebratory milkshake. I was on cloud 9. I just had a grand old time. And Avalanche ran smoothly. And again, this was the toughest match. All the other ones were just super aggro. Sergio really put the brakes to me. And that first Amaterasu was huge. And again, it's funny because if he has a second Amaterasu there, I just lose. And that can be the difference between winning and defeat. Something that's completely out of my control is just, well, my opponent had the card that did the thing. And so that's what it did. I will have a deck list for this out shortly. It's already filmed. It'll probably be out shortly in the coming days, but that was my match. I wanted to go over it to celebrate, but 2, I just wanted to reflect, and a couple different points where, well, maybe I could have done this, maybe I could have, but I don't think I made any super egregious mistakes, like, oh, I totally botched that. So, worked out. I'm happy with it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Woohoo for victory! Da 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 da.